Who entices you to think on matters in many puzzling games, in the format of masterful use of video and voice alone? It is I, the Puzzler! I welcome you all back to my show. I have a modern puzzle game in mind. Let's see if you can answer. A simple riddle that will—
Hey! What do you think you're doing?
Why? Is there something wrong?
Of course there is! This is a review show for the latest game that came out, not an old puzzle game.
Ah, but this game has puzzle elements in it, so naturally, I am more than qualified to review this.
It's not just a puzzle game, though, so you don't have any expertise to review this properly.
As much as I would love to entertain you with this little quarrel, I have a game to review.
Like heck you do. I planned this review, and I'm gonna review the heck out of this game, whether you like it or not.
You? Ha! Don't make me laugh. Except ignore that first. Ha! Compared to you, I'm more charismatic to give this game the review it deserves.
It seems neither of us are going to agree to back down, so we might as well review this game together.
Fine, we'll do it your way. Just don't get in my way. Last thing I would want is for your amateurish skills to ruin my review.
I'm gonna ignore that you said that. Let's just get on with this.
Back in a time when PC gaming was just beginning, many games that came out at the time became instant classics and revolutionary for their time, setting the standard for games of their genres would follow. But the one genre that seemed to have faded was the first-person dungeon-crawling role-playing game, leaving behind a short-lived legacy of games such as Dungeon Master, the Eye of the Beholder series, and Lands of Lore.
With a genre not being used or explored in little under 2 decades, and with recent booming interest in companies today remaking games, creating new iterations, and reselling old classics in special deals, it seems like many games such as XCOM are coming back with a vengeance on the modern gaming community, and to the delight of the retro-based PC gaming community. And this brings us to our game of today, that was released not long ago in April, which aims to bring back an old, and mayhaps underappreciated genre in the modern day, The Legend of Grimrock.
Me Grimlock have many tales to tell. Me Grimlock beat many Decepticons for a long time.
No, Grimlock! This is The Legend of Grimrock, not Grimlock.
Bah! Game stupid if not about me Grimlock.
Anyway, hearing a lot about this game and being huge fans of the old school adventure games, like some of the ones he mentioned before, we are now here to share our thoughts on this indie title. Is this a grim debut for Almost Human Limited? Or have they created something legendary? Let's dive into this adventure and find out.
You're thrown into the game's storyline literally as you play as 4 adventurers, created by you, who have been convicted of ambiguous crimes that you may or may not have committed, and sentenced to be thrown down a pit into the dungeon of Mount Grimrock, and will only be pardoned if you escape. Though, mind you, no one has ever escaped this place before.
After the intro, though, there really isn't much of a story. Not until you get closer to the end of the game, and whenever you activate a scene where a mysterious voice talks to you as you rest. The game is more driven by personal experience as you go through the story as these characters, seeing what happens around you by either the strange dreams you have, or in the scrolls and notes you find scattered about the dreary dungeon. But the story still works as it gives just enough mystery and intrigue to make you continue through the dangerous dungeon, and it tells you what you need to know without hampering the experience in the slightest.
Gameplay-wise, Grimrock takes an old-school approach that has not been used for a very long time. You'll first start off the game creating your own party, consisting of a sparse number of portraits to choose from, choosing out of 3 classes of either fighter, mage, and rogue, being able to choose one of 4 races of human, minotaur, lizardmen, and insectoid, and the usual standard fare of naming your characters and customizing their stats, skills, and traits, while some races have their own racial traits that can be chosen. While this meets the minimum when it comes to creating your party, it still feels like you have very little choice, especially in classes. But since this is Almost Human Limited's first game, I am willing to let that slide.
Once you get into the game, you'll start off with nothing? Well, you are a prisoner, so it's to be expected. At least it makes more sense here, unlike another certain party of 4 that were Warriors of Light. So you have to explore the prison, picking up any weapons and armor you find, and equipping it onto your party, as there are many dangers in this dungeon you have to face as you traverse down deeper into the mountain prison.
The game's system goes with a classical first-person dungeon crawling adventure, as you can only move in 4 directions: forwards, backwards, left and right, moving from one square grid to another. Though if you press and hold the direction you want to go in, you'll be able to move in that direction at a fast, continuous pace. Though you have to be careful not to step on pressure plates that can activate traps, and watch your step with pits.
As you play, you will come across many monsters that you will have to fight to survive, and due to the old school game style, you will find that the old strategies like waltzing with your opponents can still work. But you will still have to be wary, as the AI is very clever and at times may try to trick you, meaning you will have to keep in mind your surroundings and other monsters that may come up behind you, or worse, surround you. Combat is very simplistic but fun, as you have to right click with your mouse over your weapon you have equipped to strike the opponent in front of you. Word of warning, do not left click it, otherwise you will accidentally unequip it. Or you can cast magic by choosing from a set of runes, which at first can be a little finicky to deal with, but once you get used to it, learn a few spells, and know what runes to click on in the streamlined rune spell system, you'll be able to cast a fireball, ice spikes, and even light to illuminate the dark dungeon with little to no problems. Though one notable addition is that you can make your own potions with any herbs and empty flasks you'll find, as there are no shops anywhere in this game, meaning that you have only yourself to count on for any form of potions for healing and or buffing, and the system for crafting the potions is thankfully simple, as all you need is to add the herb or herbs you need in one of these boxes, and then the flask, and then BAM! You have your potion to take into your inventory. This really works in the game's favour, as it really adds to the survivability aspect in this game, and it goes well with the setting you're in, as it drives home the fact that the player has to be self-reliant. And while you're exploring the dungeon and fighting monsters, your party will gain levels to improve, and gain certain techniques, spells, and even increase stats by spending points into one of the 6 skills unique to each class. This leveling system is very simple but yet clever, as you only get so many points per level, so it leaves it up to the player to how they would spend the points into each skill, based on what they would need, but also what they would think would be useful for later encounters, or just generally help.
And if you're not as barbaric as my foolish friend here, and you're like me, you'll use your brain to survive, then you will have to keep in mind a few things that he forgot to mention. That while you're exploring the dungeon, you can find items down every corridor, and even in secret areas that are cleverly hidden, which you can find by searching the walls for buttons to press, or solve the dungeon's many puzzles that will get you so engrossed in them that you would want to solve them all, as some of them are simplistic but clever, while others are very challenging, especially considering most of them are worth the effort, as they have great rewards to improve your party's equipment, and many other useful items to pick up. But there are a few other things you would have to bear in mind as you are adventuring in Grimrock. Since this takes a lot of inspiration from old classic adventure games, There are many things to manage in your limited inventory space of each of your characters, like trying not to over-encumber yourself with too many items, as each one has a set weight, eating food to make sure your party don't die of hunger, and of course, the standard item managing of who should carry what.
Well, if you want to die as fast as him.
What?
Then there are certain tweaks that they made to bring this old school dungeon crawler into the modern day. Like save crystals that are scattered around the dungeon, which auto-saves your progress and can heal wounded and revive fallen party members, a map system that you can make notes on specific locations you click on, automatic pickup of projectiles you throw and or fire when you walk over them, and an odd looking around mechanic that seems to have limited uses in my experience. These tweaks, except for the last one, helps the player a lot and fixes minor issues that were present in the older games, which keeps the game moving and limits the amount of mundane tasks that were quite frequent in older games.
Graphically speaking, one can't expect too much variety in locales when in a prison, but in this place, the architecture of the dungeon as you explore it are beautifully detailed, with wall and floor textures showing different signs of aging in style and condition as you go down further into the dungeon, and the lighting effects, like when the light dimming from your torch is about to go out and put you into darkness, along with the immersive atmospheric sounds that accompany it, really set you into the mind frame that you are truly alone, with only the company of goodness knows what may come from around the next corner. While spells casted are a visual sight to behold, the designs of monsters you encounter range from generic to interesting threatening appearances, and the animations are pretty good for what you get. And while only having 2 pieces of music for the intro and credits, they are very well made musical scores.
So all in all, this game feels like a well-polished old gem made to shine for the modern era of gaming, and you can feel the love that was put into bringing this old classic genre back, with gameplay that has been mostly untouched and built upon, a good battle system with puzzles masterfully thrown into the mix, and an immersive, refreshing experience that will get you playing till the end of the game, makes this a great successor to an almost forgotten genre. And with the asking price the game is going for on Steam, it's practically a bargain that is worth every penny and more. If there is one dungeon we would recommend for you to become incarcerated in, then you should consider paying some time in Grimrock.
You're a bloody disruptive git, you know that?
I'm a disruptive git? Says you! You tried taking over this review without my permission!
Well, I was only trying to help with my superior vast talents of reviewing that would make your show more bearable to watch.
Oh yeah, I so needed help from a magnificent, stuck-up-his-own-backside frickin' conk to really only talk about one specific aspect, which wouldn't encompass the entire game.
Well, at least it's better than being a complete and total uninteresting inept bugger.
Wait. We shouldn't be fighting like this. Ever since we started up these shows, we have reviewed many things together. Well, maybe not necessarily worked together on reviews, but still. We made these videos just to show the people of the worldwide internet the things that we've enjoyed, so that they may enjoy them too. So are we that different from each other? And here we now stand, stuck in the dungeons of Grimrock, with little hope for survival alone. But together, we may still have hope to survive, and see the light at the end of this game. So what do you say?
I never thought of it that way. But no, bye!
Ah, you bloody twat!
It over. finished. It never ends.